setback there. On the Reed Street side, there would be no setback there either. It would only be on the Evarts Street side. None on the new proposed alleyway either. Okay? Okay. All right. Now, I have one person at a time, please. Okay, starting with you.
Hi, I'm Erin. I live directly on the 10th Street, so this would be right, literally in my backyard. A couple things. Is this going to be rental or ownership?
Rental.
Do you know, like, the highest or the...
Well, it's, you know, without pinning me to it, it'll be market rate. So
I don't know what that is. I've lived here for 13 years.
I think.
I'm clearly
again,
not at market.
only if you promise not to hold me to it, but I'll talk numbers because I know the numbers over at Rhode Island Avenue Road. So we're talking somewhere in the $2,400.
And you said, if I got you right, it'll be 1 to 2 bedrooms?
1 to 2 bedrooms, perhaps some 3 bedrooms.
But this is more maybe like single people or business.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not being conceptualized as a large family structure.
Okay. And then it's Adam's investment, correct?
Correct.
And do you all own any of the other properties, or do you foresee purchasing any more properties? I know Jamal has monopolized Reed Street. It's kind of incredible that you actually got your hands on this property. But do you foresee coming into contact with any more of the owning anymore?
So I can't speak to directly, but what I can speak to is depending on this project, there has been some discussion with Douglas about a potential collaboration if, for instance, this project.
That's what I was wondering. However this is, obviously something's going to be built there. 90 feet, 110 feet, 40 feet, whatever. Something's going to be built there. So, do you plan on like collaborating with him to like make the architecture semi-similar? Like it looks pretty similar to Rhode Island, but it looks like totally off key because you know his like those factory warehouses, so at least that style. It doesn't necessarily go that style. So it would be nice to have some type of collaboration so it doesn't look like a mishmash.
Okay. Can I go on to another question?
I have one more question. Well, I have 2 more questions, and they're really quick. I'm really concerned about the air quality because when Douglas took down those buildings on Reed Street, I'm literally right there, and I cannot keep my windows open. The dust and everything, and there is lead in all these properties. So I'm very concerned. They did not follow EPA standards, and they didn't send notices. I mean, it was end of summer, beginning of fall of this year, and it was really nice weather. We did not need our air conditioner on, but it was disgusting. And I have a small child, and that whole alley, I would say 75% of the people living there are families. So, and I mean, it's a concern for everyone, but there's children at home and outside that I hope that EPA standards, if not higher standards, are followed when demolishing things and doing the rubbish and everything. And then the other thing is the setback.
Ma'am, I'm sorry.
This is the last one. This involves the courtyard. Because I'm right there and I don't really care about the 4-foot easement because the 10th Street block has like 75%. It would be really nice if there was some greenery instead of a 4-foot easement, or like if the courtyard could instead come into the alley instead of maybe the middle of the building. In making plans, we don't want to see a brick wall. There is a very beautiful daycare there. We all have young children. We would like to see grass. I mean, this is like really sad to me. I've lived there 13 years and we just have this brick building. My daughter, she's in the yard. I don't want her looking at that. You know, like some greenery, bring the courtyard out instead of in the middle. You know, you said it's not a family thing. So these people can be working. I mean, who affords $2,300 a month? They work 70 hours a week. How can people in the courtyard open it up to the
Ma'am, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. Mr. Tucker.
I want to first start off, I think this is a violation of the law as it comes to zoning. That property was sold as a CM2 commercial property, which means you could go 4 foot in height, so 40 feet. I'm not objecting to having a property that's 40 feet that doesn't block the neighbors. They can still see, but then you actually telling us that this might be a Doug Jamal cohabitation kind of project. it leaves the community not to trust what's going on tonight. I mean, and even down to notification. Zoning is supposed to notify everybody within 100 feet of a proposed project. That means from 9th and Evarts to the corner of 12th and Evarts. That wasn't happening. It was supposed to notify every resident along that 10th Street corner and those on Douglas and Evarts. That was not done. So I'm asking our ANC commissioner tonight to investigate whether or not it was brought to the ANC, who signed the letter, and how many people attended the meeting to have them to rezone that particular property.
Back in 2012.
2012. Because Old Town Trolley owned that property and just tried to purchase that property back because they're not moving. And they're talking about development. You know, Douglas Jamal ran into the same problem. If anybody know about the property she just got to talking to, they went downtown and did the same thing. They changed the zoning and never brought it to the ANC to get the community's buy-in. I'm sure nobody's going to fight you on having something other than some cars and stuff like that. But do it right. And stop eating us up with this stuff about we're going to do it in easement. Second of all, if you bring in that kind of equipment, who's going to cover the homeowner's property when it gets structural damage and other things happen? And then who's going to cover that if you got that alleyway blocked and the fire department can't get to those houses on 10th Street? So there's some issues that trust and believe, and then the EPA issue comes into effect. How much oil is in the ground back there from them car lots? Because remember, 901 has been a lot of industrial things. So who's going to take care of the industrial and give? And then my last point is, where's the traffic study? Because when it rains, everybody that lives around here know that bridge flood out, and everybody in the world drives up Green Street and down 10th Street, and we got a school here. So my point is, when you come back and give me a presentation, give me one that makes sense, because there's a right there, this don't make sense to me, because I can't see nobody building a building on 9th Street, and then you're going to have people parking everywhere in front of neighbors' houses, and then, I'm going to take it even farther than that. There's a proposed plan for Old Town Trolley to do the same thing, but they can't go before 40 feet. So then you have 3 projects in that alley. What are the neighbors doing?
I do agree it's a major concern that Reed Street is a very small street, and you're talking over 500 units between this development and the Jamal development, both abutting onto that street being used by traffic. There absolutely does need to be a traffic assessment at a minimum. What's that? Yes, absolutely.
So on the environmental impact piece, there's,
Please speak up a little bit.
sure. On the environmental impact piece, the developer is committed to doing just that. And also we talked at length about the traffic issue. Okay. So what I have said and what I've represented to the developer is that the intersection at 10th and Reed is already, or rather at Reed and Rhode Island Avenue, is already a failing intersection. Okay. It's a failing intersection. It doesn't work today, particularly even with the recent attempt at improving the egress and ingress point over to the shopping center. It's sort of a weird configuration. It just doesn't work. So they've taken that to heart. They understand that they are having to deal with that at some level. And so I will certainly take that back tonight and make certain that that they understand very clearly that this is a significant concern for the community about how we're going to manage that. The other thing that you should know is that I have been very clear that the school adds an additional concern in terms of the kids and the families coming in and out of the school and the times to observe the traffic impact, particularly because I go downtown every morning, and you have families stopping right there in front of the school, it'll back up Rhode Island Avenue. So it's a problem, and we will certainly take those concerns back. On the issue on the zoning concern, I'm happy to be responsive to that in any way you think necessary.
I will say that when the Channing Place issue came up, I do remember reading about that zoning change. I assume they all happened at the same time. I believe the ANC did weigh in on that.
Well, the reason I bring it up, because I know when it was sold, it was sold at CM2 and Chan was already done. Chan was already went through. But then I want to go back to the traffic study. Do you know Old Town Trolley just added 200 more double-decker buses? And that's their property that they own.
Yes.
So we're talking about double-decker buses that are leaving that area every day, along with the existing car issues. So, but what I want the ANC to do is that if that ANC weighed in, those are government notes, and those notes need to be passed out to everybody in this community to see, and a sign-in sheet that says who was there when it was brought up, when the zoning was changed. That's my only question, and I would like for ANC commissioner to take the lead.
Also, one last point on, Marvin, on your concern about the construction. So the developer is committed to doing a construction management agreement. We've already talked, I've already put these things on the table for them, and they are in agreement that they will do a video screen of everybody's homes that about the property and the construction, to take a pre-construction analysis of your home, and then there will be a post-construction analysis video taken so that if there is any damage, then that will be addressed by the developer.
That sounds very nice, but that only gives you a facade. It means nothing, because you got to look inside the building, so it means nothing.
I'm not an engineer, but
I'm telling you, I'm not an engineer either.
I'm
But you
saying,
got to take
I
that.
didn't say that to be.
No, but I'm just telling you,
Here's
that
what
sounds very nice. It's so nice to take the video.
So if I understand what you're saying is that if your insurance, what you're saying is your insurance company would cover any damage to nearby homeowners' properties?
The developer is committed to making certain, in whatever way is necessary, if there is a more appropriate, a more scientific approach, then the developer is prepared to do that to make certain that your home is not sustaining damage.
And are they willing to indemnify the owners if?
I will take that back, and I want to commit
Thank
to
you.
specifics, but I will take that back. If that's a concern, you want indemnification, then we'll take that.
Everybody knows what I mean by that, right? If the insurance company doesn't pay, who pays?
He's calling for questions.
Who is?
You
Oh, yes, that's right.
before, so I'm not.
Lisa.
My concern is, and I'm interested in what's happening with the CO2 history, but the Height of Building Act of 1910 states that a building, existing or new, it doesn't say anything about the zoning, should only be 10 feet maximum of the width of the street that it's being built on. I personally went out and measured both Reed Streets, 10th Street, and Evarts Street today, and Evarts Street is 32 feet wide. The other two are 28. Now, most of us don't have to have algebra to figure out that 32 plus 20 is 52 feet, not 90, not 110. So how in the world is Adam Investment legally getting away with doubling the allowed legal limit of a height of building in our nation's capital when you have this 100-plus-year-old act that says 52 feet, not 90, not 110. And on Reed Street, it's even 4 feet less. And it's a very large concern. You look at all the other developments that have happened recently, Rhode Island Road, Monroe, Dahlgreen's has been around for forever, even Channing. All of them are 5, maybe 6 stories tops. And they work well with the neighborhood. And most people have been happy about that height. One of the contentions that happened up in the Colonel Brooks property, just because it was going to be too tall. And I don't think that, I can't speak for everybody in this room, but I know that most of the people that I talk to personally, on my blog, and other places in Brooklyn, there's a lot going on in Brooklyn this week, they're like 4 and 5, 6 stories, it's just ridiculous. Because building it on Rhode Island is long, a larger road. 10 stories go for it. But not next door to my next door neighbor.
I appreciate the concern.
Sorry.
My son construction will essentially shut down the daycare. Is your organization willing to indemnify my daycare's loss of income because we won't be able to have children going through construction sites trying to take naps during construction time? It will essentially put them out of business, and this is their livelihood. I'm sorry. Oh, it's a window defense, yes. It's a window defense. Yeah.
Carlos.
I just wanted to have the developer in further study the traffic study that you mentioned took place. It also looks at the alley between Evarts and Franklin, because as you said, as the developer said, you know, there's a school here, there are a lot of people who leave their cars here, drop off their children, and then people take that alleyway as a shortcut to bypass all of this traffic. So I would really want that alley not to become a street, or more of a street than it already is, because that is quite, I mean, people cross. This is the alleyway of 10th Street from Evarts to Franklin. Parallel to the school, 2700 block of 10th Street.
Toy company.
Is it toy?
You're talking about the alleyway by the bridge.
Right.
Okay.
So they need to change that to do not enter or something, keep the traffic, we've been trying to.
That's private, part of that is private property. Part of it belongs to Manley. If you talk about that.
No, not that one, it's immediately behind the 10th Street houses.
Behind the 10th Street house?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Between Evarts and Franklin, which parallels 10th Street to the school, because people avoid the traffic that you stated that happens at the school. They use that alley, they get to Evarts. And I live on that block, and, you know, getting out every morning from my back alley to get on that alleyway, you know, it's almost like it's a thoroughfare, especially during school hours. There are even the buses sometimes even take that. So you see,
2700 block.
27, the alleyway to 2700 block of 10th Street. Please include that in your traffic study.
Because I had almost gotten hit myself in my car trying to pull out of my parking spot in front of 913 Evarts Street. That's a very, very dangerous alley there. I mean, people come through there like they're on a racetrack, and it's terrible. And you got children, your grandchildren there. It's just unbelievable. No, it's not.
Ms. Carvalho?
So with respect to the shortage of parking spaces, I remember reading recently that there was some project where the developer had arranged to basically restrict the residents from getting permits, residential parking permits. Would it be possible for you all to look into that to see if that would, you know, I mean, transit-oriented development is kind of meaningless if people aren't encouraged to actually use transit instead of, you know, buying cars.
If you don't park on site,